Good morning. Good morning, troopers. Welcome to Heidelberg. Welcome back, actually, in the case of many of you. Happy to see you here. Happy to see you at Troopers 19. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Enno. I'm one of the two guys running ERW, the company behind Troopers. And I'd like to take the opportunity of this opening to a bit introduce Troopers to those of you who haven't been here before, and to, obviously the opening is meant to include some special welcome messages and to include some organizational info which might be useful in the next hours and days. And some of you might actually be surprised to see me here on stage. And who of you has kids who have already left the house? And you might remember this happens, it's a kind of painful moment from one side, but on the other side you feel like you have maybe achieved something in educational wise, and you leave them a bit to the world, but then it might happen that sometime later they show up like, oh, mom and dad, something didn't work out as expected, I'm back. And well, from a parent's perspective, you might see this with like mixed emotions. You might be happy, well, son or my daughter, happy to see you back, but you know it has been a good life without you as well. And this is a bit how I feel today, given I'm back on stage here, which wasn't expected, say, 2 years ago. But on the other hand, I'm very happy to be here. And I'm very happy that speakers and trainers came in from 25 countries, from more than 25 countries. I think attendee-wise, it's even more than, we counted roughly, it was more than 40 countries. So Troopers is a very international event, which is good, which I'm quite happy about. One country even sent a special delegation to Heidelberg this year. Bienvenidos, Argentinos. Good to see you in Heidelberg. The thing is, they are even here to accomplish very special achievements this year. Thanks to everybody who helped to get to this point. And are you in the room, Noel? That will be no pressure, man. No pressure, man. But this will be a great moment in Troopers history. Next to the Argentinian crew, there is a number of young researchers, being most of them first time in Heidelberg at Troopers. 37 students are here. There is a number of black hoodies, and I'm personally very happy that you came in, as I think the InfoSec scene needs fresh enthusiasm, fresh energy. It has become quite cynical in certain circles. So we need you. We need you coming into this and trying to make a difference for the InfoSec world. I will get back to this, and I will get back to the topic of leaving the house and coming back or going out to the world. Before that, let me just tackle some, as I mentioned, organizational things. The badge. The badge this year is a technical monster. It's based on it has all types of features and gadgets. It's based on an ESP32. It has a fully fledged keyboard. Thanks to Malte and thanks to Jeff, who are the masterminds behind this. You will probably, many of you will have a lot of fun with the badge during Troopers. It runs apps. There is a number of apps already on it. You can write your own. It has a shitty add-on interface, so you can reuse it at other conferences and bring on more stuff, and there will be, in the soldering corner, you will be able to do something special with the badge. And one app actually is meant to not only, say, provide entertainment or contribute to the challenges, but to provide life advice. Whenever you feel in a, say, desperate situation, shake the badge, and it might actually provide some advice which can be helpful in moments. And before you ask, I know some of you have already started figuring out what happens challenge-wise. What about these tokens? How can I get those? You can use the app on the badge, or you can, there is a conference website, controopers.de, where you can find all types of information. For those of you into this type of stuff, use it. Have fun with the challenges. I can tell you there is a number of very smart and funny challenges, thanks to the guys from ENW who contributed. It was a number of people who helped this year. You guys will have fun with this. Talking about traditions, there will be the shared dinner. Buses leaving at 6:30 from the PMA. Another tradition is we have a charity project which goes to Habibi Walks, a project in northern Greece, which is a kind of makerspace where we try, or the leaders of that, try to enable refugees to do something worthwhile with their own hands, with their own talents and skills. And this has been a thing that Troopers has had in mind in the last years to provide, say, an opportunity where you can learn and where you can interact and where you can, say, refine and a bit work on your talents and skills. Thanks to our old friend Dave for providing this message. This is one part what Troopers is about. It's about interaction. It's about talking to people, trying to find your position, trying to find, to evolve your knowledge. Please do. This is very much what Troopers is about. You can sit in the talks and listen to the person standing in front of you, but Troopers is very much about interaction and bringing people together who in their usual professional or student lives wouldn't meet each other. There is this, some of you might recall this actually, from the opening 2015, where we had the numbers. There is a high probability that the person next to you is either a speaker or an ex-speaker of Troopers. Take the opportunity to talk to those. This is, by the way, from the, as I mentioned, 2015 opening. In that year, I heavily referenced to the Football World Cup of the year before. This year, I will refrain from that. But I have another message, which I think is important as for what Troopers tries to contribute to. And to phrase this message, I'd like to refer to Parzival. Who of you has been at a Waldorf school? Then you have been forced to tackle Parzival in upper school, in the Oberstufe. Some of you might know I have somewhat a background in literature. And the Mittelalter, the Middle Ages in Germany have created a lot of literature pieces, poems and novels and all types of opera have been created. And there is two which stand out in that corpus. That's the Nibelungenlied, which I have probably covered at some point in Troopers' history before. And there's Parzival. And Parzival is about a quest. It's a very complex story with lots of acting people, and it's about Parzival. That's one of the protagonists. There's another one called Gawain. There is the round table of King Arthur, and there is a quest for the Grail. And so here's this young guy who is raised by his mother in the woods. His mother is disappointed from life at the court and the nightlife and things going on there. So she tries to raise her kid in solitude in a place called Soltane, far away from all, say, life with at the court and the knights and armors and things. And one day, Parzival meets 3 knights in the woods, and he looks at them, and he's immediately attracted by the armor. And it's a bit of a funny scene, as his mother has told him that there is only one thing that shines, that is God. So he approaches the knights and asks the first one, like, are you God? Well, he's not, but the thing is, he looks at the armor and immediately he's like, oh, I want to become a knight. He's attracted by a superficial thing. That's a bit like young InfoSec researchers seeing YouTube videos. Oh, there's this guy who made $1 million in a bug bounty program, and being attracted by this type of stuff, which is superficial. That's glamour. That's maybe not what InfoSec is about. But this is a trap Parzival gets into, and he decides to leave. So the kid leaving home. His mother, who has the name Herzeloide, she dies over the pain. So he seeks out to the world, to adventures, Aventüre. And he pretty soon he comes to the round table of King Arthur, which, in contrast to like popular culture depictions of it, is absolutely not a, say, noble place. Actually, in Parzival at the time, later it evolves, but at the time it's a rotten, morally rotten and physically rotten, say, place, which then again there might be parallels in InfoSec. There might be like going to conferences in your early stages which have offensive in their name, and you think it's about education and learning stuff, and maybe it's just about exploit dealing in a back room. So the moral thing might be dubious at this point in his InfoSec, or say in his quest for the Grail, which can be compared to an InfoSec career. And he commits all types of early failures. Actually, the first women he encounters, he treats her very badly. And he kills another guy, Iter, and he kills him just for getting the armor. So there is nothing really, not much really positive about the things he sets out, and he uses his talents and skills for. Actually, it becomes very clear from the very beginning that Parzival has a lot of talents and skills, but he has no way of using them in a reasonable way, in a way which is good for the society at that stage. So there's a guy, Gunnemans, who takes over his education and teaches him some basic rules and techniques, how to behave and how to, say, like how to eat at the table and how to wash himself and how to use the armor and stuff. So he gets a basic education. But then he moves on, and the next stage is, or one of the next stages, but the one that is most important for us is, he comes to a castle, Munsalvesche. And at this point, he would have the opportunity to actually reach the Grail, to fulfill the quest for the Grail. I'm not going to discuss the Grail in detail, but you can compare this, like when you get into InfoSec, most of you want to contribute in a positive way to something. So you are set out to, say, a mission or to a positive quest. And so there is Parzival with his talents and with a basic education. What happens at Munsalvesche is a kind of epic fail. There is, the owner of Munsalvesche, Anfortas, is apparently suffering from something. So it would be a human thing just to ask him, like, okay, guy, what's wrong with you? Can I help you in any way? But Parzival, who has been taught not to ask too many questions, doesn't ask the question. So he completely fails at a very important point in his life to achieve, to move forward. Actually, at that point, as I mentioned, he could have found the Grail. And the next day he awakes, the castle is empty. So he failed, and he failed as he didn't ask the right question. It's as simple as that. He didn't ask the right question, and this is why his, say, path went into the wrong direction. And this is my personal plea here. Troopers wants to contribute. Ask the right questions. Try to find your position in InfoSec space. Try to find a value system. Try to reframe what you are set out to do when you're doing InfoSec. ask the right questions. That is where we hope to contribute to. That said, there is not only like medieval legends like Parzival, there is modern legends too. And I'm very happy to see one of them on stage in the next minutes. Rodrigo, stage is yours. Looking forward to your keynote. Thank you for coming over. And all of you, have a great Troopers.